gets kind of old to say Nick Saban just reloads, but that's literally what he does. And the 10 players that we're going to talk about today, it was tough putting 10 together. There's a bunch of guys that can make this list, a bunch of guys that are super, super talented that can make a ton of plays, but I did my best here, and it was very, very fun to put together, very, very challenging. And again, Nick Saban just reloads once again. He keeps bringing in top recruiting classes. He keeps bringing in 4 and 5 star players to compete at a high level. Why wouldn't you want to play for Nick Saban right now? This is the best team in college football, the best program in college football, and there's really not a reason why someone wouldn't want to play for Nick Saban, especially if they want to win football games and national championships. At number 10, we have quarterback Bryce Young. Now, I'll admit that when I first heard that everyone was excited about Bryce Young, I wasn't really sold right away. And even when I went into the spring game, I tempered my expectations just because it's a spring game. But Bryce Young definitely did impress me in the spring game. There are some throws that he made that were pretty incredible that rivaled some of the throws that Mac Jones made. Some were even better, honestly. The big question is that there's a new quarterback in Bryce Young. There's going to be a new starting running back, and a new top wide receiver is needed, even a number 2, because Devontae Smith and Jaylen Waddle are gone. So who replaces those guys? Does the defense have to step up this year a little bit more than usual? It seems like there will be a little bit of a learning curve. They get Miami right away to start the season. Will Bryce Young have freshman moments? Probably. And it's just a matter of, can this offense do enough to mask any of those mistakes? Number 9, safety Jordan Battle. Just a guy who, honestly, he might not be the most talented safety on this team, but he's a guy who I really, really like. He does a little bit of everything, gives them a little bit of versatility on the back end of their defense. He had 66 tackles, 3 for loss, 4 passes defended. I think that, like I said, maybe not the most talented safety on this team, but a guy who's very reliable. You know what you're going to get from him. You know that he's going to compete. He's going to compete at a high level, and he's going to get his teammates to do the same thing. At number 8, linebacker Christopher Allen. Second team All SEC last year, 13 tackles for loss, 6 sacks. These linebackers are stacked. This is a loaded group this year once again, and it might rival the 2016 team with the Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, that group. Maybe not as elite as they were, but they're definitely going to give them a run for their money in terms of tackles for loss and sacks. Very disruptive players. You add in number 7 too, Will Anderson. 52 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. Just guys that live in the backfield, guys that are going to make things difficult for the opposing offense. And both these guys, while they were new, fresh faces last year, they were new to the spotlight. They didn't shy away from it. They didn't back down. And obviously the results speak for themselves. Number 6, cornerback Josh Jobe, physical corner last year. Guy who really sent a message every time that he was playing against his wide receiver. Nick Saban coaches the defensive backs. You know that there's going to be some guys that stick out, and Jobe is definitely one of those guys. At number 5, we mentioned that a wide receiver needs to step up. Is John Metchie III going to be that guy? He had 916 yards and 6 touchdowns last year, thanks mostly to Jaylen Waddle getting hurt for the season. But can he be that guy? I just always think of him, lasting image of him rocking Trey Dean in the SEC championship game after Dean picked off a Mac Jones pass. Is he just going to be a highlight, or is he going to produce more highlights on his own? There's definitely a guy like Ajay Hall who had a great spring. There's a ton of guys behind them that are willing to step up. They're ready to do it. I think that he can be the guy. I don't know if he's going to be Devontae Smith or Jaylen Waddle, but he's definitely a talented player that is capable of carrying the torch for them. Number 4, cornerback Malachi Moore. Again, With Nick Saban, you expect your DBs to play at a high level, and Malachi Moore definitely does that. Second team All SEC last year, 44 tackles, 3 picks. Again, Moore and Jobe are going to give them two of the best cornerbacks in the entire country. With Nick Saban running the show and running the corner defensive backs, you know that they're going to play at a high level. You know they get good coaching, and it's going to be tough to beat them again this year. Number 3, the transfer from Tennessee, linebacker Henry To'oTo'o. If you haven't watched my breakdown of To'oTo'o's game, make sure you go check that out. I think that he is just what this defense needs. They have a bunch of players that can make some highlight reel plays, and To'oTo'o is going to bring some stability. He doesn't make flashy plays, but he definitely is productive. I think that he kind of got lost at Tennessee just because teams really just had to block him, and at times that was enough for the opposing offense to get their way. So now he's on a roster that has a ton of linebackers that can play. We're not done talking about them, and it's going to be fun to see what he can do with his new team. Number 2, offensive tackle Evan Neal. Man, if you haven't seen what Evan Neal can do at 6'7", 360 pounds, you need to go watch. This man is just, the things that he does are incredible. There's no way that a guy his size should do some of the things that he does. If you go watch, there's an interception that he tries to chase down that you just see his speed. He's just, I think that he's going to be one of the biggest risers. I think people are going to be drooling over him. I think that he's going to be one of the best prospects in the 2022 NFL draft when it's all said and done. And at number 1, linebacker Christian Harris, leading tackler from last year with 79 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. This is a former safety who's still kind of learning to play the position, which is kind of scary. But they also use that to their advantage. They know that they can put him out on a receiver, and they know that he knows what to do in terms of playing the ball. So once he comes into his own, he's going to be very exciting to watch. I think people are worried about his natural feel for playing linebacker, but once he figures that out, you better watch out, because he's going to be super exciting to watch when it's all said and done. Alabama, I don't really need to say much more. You know that they're going to be one of the best teams in the country. If you look at this top 10, it's probably one of the best top 10s you'll see. There's really not much concern, in my opinion. Bryce Young will be what everybody watches. The defense is just fine. It was tough to put this 10 together, so there's probably 10 other guys at least that you could talk about, and you would say it's one of the best 10 in the entire country. Nick Saban doesn't really have much to worry about, even though he still will, because that's just who he is. Yeah, man, it's fun to put this list together, but at the same time, it's also tough because there's so many guys that you can include. So anybody that you want to bring up, let me know. Are you going to bring up Dameron Payne, Brian Robinson? There's so many guys. Ajay Hall, we mentioned earlier. There's so many guys that we could put on this list, but here's my 10. It's going to be an exciting team to watch, and they're definitely one of the teams to beat in the college football season this year.